What is up, Pitt fans? Welcome to another edition of the PG Pitt Show brought to you by FanDuel. My name is Stephen Thompson, cover Pitt Athletics for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and I'm coming to you from Charlottesville, Virginia on a Wednesday morning. Getting out of here shortly, but last night I was here to see the Pitt Panthers fall 67-47 to Virginia, a top 20 ranked Virginia team, and they certainly, I think, looked the part for a decent bit of this game. The way this game unfolded and the way that 20-point margin materialized is maybe pretty familiar and quite frankly a little obvious at this point. Pitt actually took a 7-3 lead with after about 3 minutes elapsed of game time. They were forcing some misses from three. They were moving the ball well, made some shots on the offensive end. Looked like they were in for a fight, that they were ready to meet this moment, and then all of a sudden, just an avalanche of turnovers and offensive rebounds really sunk them. So they, had a span of about 5 minutes where they turned the ball over 5 times, didn't score. That allowed Virginia to open up a 12-0 run. That really, in my mind at least, put the game away essentially for good. Pitt would get close marginally close a couple times. There are times in the second half, at least 5, where they cut it to 13 or fewer, their deficit. But for the most part, they were down anywhere from 15 to 18, 17 points for the vast majority of the evening. It was hard to feel like Pitt was really competitive at any point in this game, and it was hard to imagine a scenario where they were competitive in this game. But certainly did not play well enough to even keep this one close. And look, Virginia is the better team. I think they win this game 9 times out of 10. But Virginia also outworked Pitt in this game. They were the sharper team as well. They probably win that game 9 times out of 10 regardless. But the one scenario where Pitt wins is if they make a few threes, if they take care of the basketball, if they offensive rebound the way that they have so far in conference play. None of those things showed up for the Panthers on Tuesday night here in Charlottesville. They were not sharp. They turned the ball over 13 times. 17 times. Excuse me. I was underrating it. I was thinking about the offensive rebounds. 17 turnovers leading to 23 points for the Cavaliers. Most of the time, they were just scoring layups in transition. There were a lot of live ball turnovers that made for easy pickings on the other end. But also the offensive rebounds, 13 leading to 13 points for the Cavaliers. Pitt actually had 8 offensive rebounds of their own, but only turned those into 6 points. So, like I said, Virginia is the better team here, but they weren't. I'm struggling with how to phrase this because, in football, I would say it's kind of akin to giving up on a bunch of big plays, and that's what leads to a blowout loss, right? This isn't quite that. Basketball just isn't a sport that kind of allows that kind of phenomenon by nature. But look, Virginia shot 44% from the field for the game. Pitt shot 37%. They shot 35% from 3 for the game. Pitt shot 31%, 32 if you round up. The shooting percentages weren't all that different, at least not reflective of a 20-point blowout on their own. But the way this game changed and the reason that Virginia was able to build a 20-point advantage was because they had more opportunities. Many of you would know I'm a Boston Celtics fan, and Joe Mazzulla, their head coach, preaches this all the time, is that the shot margin is really important, especially from 3. When all things are equal, and I understand that not all things were equal in this game, but you look at kind of the 30,000-foot view, and the things that really separated Virginia in this game were its attempts, were its opportunities. They took 13 more shots than the Panthers. They took 12 more threes. That is where this game turned. Virginia wasn't necessarily the most efficient, especially offensively, but they gave themselves enough bites at the apple in order to build a 20-point margin and a 20-point win. That is the thing that I think you would find most alarming about this game from the Pitt perspective, right? If you follow them all season, you know that they are going to get off the bus and be at a deficit in talent and depth with the vast majority of the teams that they will play this season, or that they will play at least in conference play. But like I said, the scenarios where Pitt pulls an upset over a better team is when they are sharper and when they play with better effort. And in this game, they played a better team that, from my perspective, wanted it more. You can credit Virginia's cohesiveness. You can credit some of their shot making, but really, I felt like their effort was better. They were first to loose balls. Their ability to force turnovers, they were sharper with the basketball. Only turned it over 10 times for the game. And then, on the flip side, it was Pitt being lackadaisical with the basketball, and I understand not having Brandon Cummings. That hurts. But also Pitt was being beaten to just about every loose ball. And so that is the kind of thing that I think you really don't want to see at this point. I'm not ignorant to the fact that this has been an extremely long season for Pitt, and it's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of those players. But if you are going to be out on the floor, you need a little bit more. And if you're going to win games, that's how you have to do it. And Pitt did not really do any of the things that they needed to win this game on Tuesday night. I want to also talk about some post-game comments that Jeff Capel made. I guess less so the specifics of what he said and more what I kind of believe those comments reflect. Part of why Pitt gave up so many offensive rebounds was Cam Corhen picked up his second foul with, I believe, about 9 minutes left just under 9 minutes left in the first half. When he had to sit for an extended period of time, that's when Virginia really turned on the offensive rebounding. And I know Cam Corhen hasn't been a dominant rebounder for Pitt, but he's their starting center. And so he's the only one who plays regular minutes who is 6'10" or taller. And so losing him definitely does affect your rebounding. The thing is, Kieran Mullen only plays a minute and 42 seconds. And Jeff Capel instead chooses to go small, play Barry Dunning, Roman Silepa in the front court, who are both 6'6". At least that's what they're listed at. A Mullen, who's 7 feet tall, sitting on the bench. I probably have a higher opinion of Mullen than most people. I clearly have a higher opinion of him than Jeff Capel. I think his minutes have been solid when he's played. Jeff Capel does not believe that he is ready for this moment. And at one point he says, Cam had 2 fouls. It's who we are right now. It's not a lot of options over there. He is speaking specifically to the front court and how limited they are there with Papa Conte, sidelined for the season. Deshaun Jackson was never really a part of the picture when they planned on him, being a big piece of what they're doing. The front court particularly is hard to manage. I understand. But to say, I think when he says he's out of doesn't have a lot of options, it just sounds to me like a coach who is kind of resigned to the current state of affairs, right? And I can appreciate that Jeff Capel has an unenviable job. Right now, this is a miserable situation, but if we're not throwing anything at a wall at this point, I'm not sure what we're doing. Like Mullen, at least I thought, has looked like he's belonged a little bit more. Jeff Capel says he's not ready for extended minutes. How is he going to get ready for extended minutes if he's only playing, at most 2 minutes a game? Can he develop, kind of game shape in practice? Is it conditioning? Is it skill? Is it strength? Like whatever Jeff Capel is seeing in practice or from the sidelines, I am not seeing. I'm also, I think, understanding Pitt to be in a more desperate situation. And I just don't know what it says when a coach is telling you that he doesn't have options. When a coach seems so resigned to what this season is currently, there don't seem to be many clear solutions to me, but also, I'm not paid millions of dollars to come up with solutions. My feeling sitting in that press conference, and this feeling has been growing over the past few weeks, is that Jeff Capel is, like he said, out of options, out of ideas for how to make this team better. And so that just leaves you at a place where you say, all right, well, then are we just kind of running out the clock on the season? Are we like, what is the path to making things better? How does this get better? Because you were, I believe, 13.5 point underdogs in this game. And somehow it got worse than that. According to our friends at FanDuel, they were 13.5 point underdogs. And even with those kind of already low set expectations, Pitt is clearing them, is falling short of them. And just if you, I think that's the thing I'm hung up on, is just, what do you do for the rest of the season if there are no other options? We're just gonna roll the ball out, hope something good happens, and if not, oh well. We don't have options. I don't know. Seems miserable, and it seems like a hard sell to anyone else who is following along with this program, who is looking for some semblance of hope. But Jeff Capel just doesn't have anything really encouraging to say right now. I think that it might seem obvious, but it still is sometimes, I don't know if I would say jarring, but can be surprising sometimes to hear in press conferences and to experience that live, because Pitt needs doesn't and doesn't seem to have any. Needs something to build on, needs some hope of some kind, and doesn't seem like anything is available to provide that right now. That's all I've got for this video, but thank you all for tuning in to another edition of the PG Pitt Show. If you like the video, subscribe to our channel, PG Pitt on YouTube, and follow all of my and Abby Schnabel's written work, post-gazette.com. Appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.